Hey guys, Craig here from Funding Freedom U, and today's video is extra special. Now, I've given you sneak peeks of our live coaching calls that we do inside of Funding Freedom U before, just a couple minute videos, right? Well, today's video is extra special because I am letting you watch the entire thing. That's right. This coaching call is going to outline all of my favorite things. So, my favorite books, podcasts, apps, free resources that you can utilize to help you be more successful this year in your personal finance journey. And it's not just a 2-minute segment, you get to watch the entire thing. Now, I did cut off the beginning and end because that's just some nuts and bolts that we do inside of Funding Freedom U that doesn't necessarily have any interest to you right now, but you get the meat and the bones of the live coaching call. So, enjoy, kick back, let me know, are any of these things your favorites too? Drop those in the comments box below, and as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay, I'll let you enjoy the video. All right, let's talk about my favorite things. Free and cheap resources to help you crush your goals. So let's start with some of my favorite books. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to put this slide presentation for you guys to download under the recorded video. So whenever I post this in Funding Freedom U, or if you're watching the recording right now below it, you can download these slides. That way you have these books listed out for you. I would link to all these, but that's going to be a lot of links. And so I'll just put this here. You can go through and find most of these are going to be on Amazon. If not, you can find them elsewhere. But favorite books, The Total Money Makeover, obviously. So if you haven't read that book by Dave Ramsey, that's pretty much in my opinion, the best book on personal finance that is out. So if you haven't read it, that I highly recommend you go get it and read it. So The One Thing by Gary Keller. You guys, if you have watched some of the recordings or been with me on some of these calls, you know I bring up this book a lot. In fact, that's what I was talking about with the accountability tracker earlier, came from this book. This book is geared towards business owners. However, the concepts in the book can be used for anything in life that we're doing. And it's all about pinpointing where we want to be, what's our big overarching goal, and what's one thing that I can do today to take me closer to that goal. So again, if you're a business owner, and that's how I implemented it, I have these big goals, but so what's one thing I can do to get there? But if you're not, your one big goal could be to pay off the house, right? That's a huge goal. So what's one thing I'm going to do today that's going to take me at least a little bit closer? Maybe that's just making an extra credit card payment, right? We got to pay off those credit cards before we pay off the house. Maybe that's watching a video from in Funding Freedom U. Whatever that one thing is, it just takes those huge, overwhelming, daunting tasks, those giant wants, and it makes sure that every day we're focusing in on one thing that we really want to do. So highly recommend that book. Simple Wealth, Inevitable Wealth by Nick Murray is a awesome book all about investing. So he does a great job of explaining investments in a way that makes sense. It is kind of a nerdy book, so I thought it was really fun. I thought it was a fun read. I gave it to my sister to read, and she got a couple chapters in and said she was like, it's a little boring for me. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, or you're wanting to learn about mutual funds and stocks and bonds, and he does an awesome job of explaining it just in layman's terms, and just because I'm not super savvy. That's the book I started with because investments were something I was not well versed in when I started, and I'm still not all that great with them. I mean, I know enough. I know enough to be dangerous, like we say. So check out that book. I like it. It's a good one to at least have in your on your bookshelf. The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone is very similar to The One Thing. Again, the book, I believe, has a lot of stuff geared toward business owners, but in life, this is something you can do. And what the 10X rule does is it's amplifying your goals by 10. So maybe your goal is you're going, I want to pay off $10,000 this year, right, in debt. Well, we want to multiply that by 10, make your goal $100,000, which seems insane, absolutely insane. But the whole principle of it is if you set your goal really high and then you're trying to achieve that high goal, odds are you're going to surpass what your normal goal would have been. So you may not pay off 100,000, but maybe you'll pay off 20 or 30,000. Whereas if you had set your goal at 10, maybe you would have only paid off 8, right? Or just stopped at 10. So setting those goals really high. The other thing this does, so let's say you're wanting to lose weight. It makes you start thinking outside of the box, or uh, let's just, instead of $100,000 in a year, let's just look at a month. Maybe you're trying to trim $1,000 in your month, but you don't have any idea how that's going to happen. Well, when you say my goal is 1,000, then you start thinking outside of the box, outside of the realm of possibility, things that you thought possible to make that goal happen. So one of my goals originally was I wanted to have 100 members in Funding Freedom U, right? I was like, okay, I want to do that. That's my goal. And then when I read this book, I was like, I'm going to 10x that goal. So instead of 100, 1,000 members is where I'm aiming for. Immediately what that does is it starts making me think outside of the box of how to reach more people, how to get this in the hands of more people, how to serve more people. And I start thinking of ideas that I never would have thought of if I was only aiming at 100. And so great book, just really cool and very motivating. The next one is for married couples, and I know the title may seem kind of like a bummer, Money Problems, Marriage Solutions by Chuck and Ann Bentley. But this is a great book about just working together with your spouse. And so getting on the same page with your finances and just, yeah, great practical things. They come at it from a religious standpoint. So it's a Christian book, but it can pertain to anybody no matter what your religious beliefs are. So I recommend it if you're married, even if you don't feel like you're having money problems or marriage problems. I read it and it was great. So I recommend it. All right, continuing on with my favorite books, Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. If you're a business owner, this is an awesome book about paying yourself first, but within your business. I'm not going to dive too much into the details of this one, but if you own a business, make this the next book you read. I'll just say that. From Day Job to Dream Job by Kerry Oberbrunner. He's a fantastic author. And if you've ever thought about leaving your job, if you're unhappy in your job, you are wanting to pursue things that you're incredibly passionate about, this is kind of this among another book on this list were ones that inspired me to leave the classroom. I was a teacher. I taught fourth grade for 7 years, and I was ready to move on, and I didn't know what that was going to look like. And so realizing what my dream job would be and what my passions are, this is one book that really helped with that. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It's similar to The One Thing, and just little things we do today have lasting effects. So focusing in on your daily choices, what are those going to look like? One big thing that has a huge compound effect is making the small choice to never borrow money again, right? Think of the lasting effects. If you just say, I'm never charging anything to my credit card again, that's one small decision. It's a hard one, but never borrowing money again, just imagine how much that can compound over your lifetime, your kid's lifetime. It's a ripple. And so it's really cool. Great book. 48 Days to the Work You Love by Dan Miller. Highly recommend to anybody, whether you're looking at a career change or just trying to rediscover your passion in your current career. Great book. This along with Day Job to Dream Job is what inspired me, like I said, to make the plunge. And then the last book on my list, I'm basically giving you your reading for the rest of the year if you decide to follow this list, is Retire Inspired by Chris Hogan. He's another Ramsey Solutions personality. Really good read about coming up with your retirement number, what you want retirement to look like, some good when it comes to investing, even more user-friendly information about investments than the Inevitable Wealth, Simple Wealth, Inevitable Wealth book. So I recommend that. Like I said, you'll be able to download these slides, because I know I just threw like 100 books at you just now. All right, my favorite podcasts. I'm a podcast guy. I hardly listen to music in the car anymore, which is funny because I'm a musician, and so you think I would listen to music all the time, but I don't. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks, and so I love podcasts because they're free. You can find incredible wealth and incredible value in podcasts. And just to touch on listening to things like this in your car, it's been called Commute University, right? The number of hours we spend in our car, in a year's time, if you use that time in your commute to just educate yourself on something, people have done studies to show that you would have the equivalent of a 4-year degree just on a certain topic. If you listen to the same information on the same topic for that year, you'd have something equivalent to a 4-year degree. It's just amazing how much time we spend in the car. And if we could harness that time to grow and develop our brains, it's just amazing. So don't worry, I still put on some 90s R&B once in a while, but for the most part, I listen to podcasts. So 48 Days to Work You Love. I can't say any more good things about Dan Miller. This is an awesome podcast, comes out once a week, and he just answers questions about rediscovering your passion and careers, and just great motivating podcast. Building a Story Brand with Donald Miller. He is a marketing guy. He has a whole company all about marketing your business, but he brings in people and interviews them. So sometimes it's about business, sometimes it's about life and just things. He had Molly Fletcher on, who's the next podcast I'm going to share. But she wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule, which I probably should have added to my list of favorite books. It's called The 5-Second Rule, and it's all about making snap decisions in 5 seconds to change habits. But anyway, so he brings on people that don't always pertain to business. If you're a business owner, I definitely recommend it. If you're not, there's still a lot of value in it. Game Changers with Molly Fletcher, same thing. She interviews a lot of just influencers, people who have lots of things with productivity and motivation, just really cool stuff. Same thing again with EntreLeadership podcast. This is a Ramsey Solutions podcast. It's hosted by Ken Coleman. He's a great, really entertaining guy, and he brings on people that he brings on, just whether it's same thing as the other ones, business related or not, just in life, improving ourselves, improving our mindset and our motivation. Entrepreneur on Fire is another one. That's a daily podcast, and he brings on different entrepreneurs just to kind of pick their brain and see what they're doing to stay productive and stay organized. And the final one is Blogging Your Passion with Jonathan Mulligan. He's a blogger, full-time blogger. If you've ever considered getting into blogging, he talks about doing that. But he also, what's cool about his is he'll do a topic of maybe how to organize your thoughts, right? How to set out your goal and organize it. And then he'll usually have a free PDF or mind map thing that you can just download. So if you're listening to the podcast, you're like, oh, I like this, you can hop on and download that and kind of follow along and implement what he's talking about. So there's 6 podcasts that I listen to. This is enough to keep your commute pretty busy if you listen to these. And there's even more out there. So just finding whatever you're interested in. My favorite apps. And to touch on podcasts one more time, there's just whatever field you're in, even if there's so many out there on personal finance. I mean, obviously Dave Ramsey has his own podcast. There's just even more resources out there that I haven't had the time to dive into. So if you ever have a topic that interests you, just search in the podcast realm. Again, it's free. It's like free books and free. It's instead of paying for a book or going to a seminar, you can listen to these people on podcasts and just get so much wealth of knowledge at no cost. So anyway, moving on. My favorite apps. So here are some apps that are on my phone as of right now. This is going to be the quiz to see if I can remember what these icons are. Audible, if you've probably heard of Audible, it's through Amazon. You pay, it's like $10 or $15 a month think it's 15, and you get an audiobook every month. There's another one called audiobooks.com. Same thing, you just get an audiobook download. So all those books I listed out to you, most of them have audiobook versions, so you can add that to your Commute University. And most of these audiobooks and Audible offer, if you've never signed up, you get a free month. So you get a free book when you sign up, sometimes two books. So just check it out, try it out. If nothing else, you can try it out, listen to those books, and then cancel and get your free ones. That's what they give you. So do that. Evernote's awesome. I have this on my computer and on my phone. This is just a file organization system. So if you have lots of bills and you don't want to keep things on paper anymore, receipts, you can take pictures of your receipts and upload it to Evernote, and then you always have access to it. So it's like a digital folder system. So think of it like a filing cabinet on your computer or phone, and you have different files, and inside of each of those file folders, you have whatever you want inside there. So, I mean, I can tell you what's in mine. I have files for Funding Freedom U. I have a folder, and inside that folder, I have course ideas, is maybe a notebook, and inside there is all the ideas I have. I might have something in there for quick win video ideas. I might upload anything. So hot seat sessions, coach. So all that stuff I keep in the Funding Freedom U notebook folder. And then I have tons of folders in there. So all that to say, if you're still using with your bills and your debt, if you're still using hard folders and paper receipts and all that, you can switch over to Evernote. It's really cool. QuickBooks, again, if you own a business or need to track your mileage for work or track your expenses for work, QuickBooks is really great. It just syncs with your phone. I think there's free versions. If not, it's like $5 a month for just a very basic one, and it's very handy at tax time. Oh, this is called the Debt-Free app, I believe. I told you I was going to forget. This is the Debt-Free app is what I'm pretty sure it is. This is what the icon looks like, at least on the Apple. These are all on my iPhone. So if you have an Android, you may have to double check to make sure they're available for you. But this one is really cool. You can enter your debt snowball debts, and it'll give you some timelines. You can say, what if I were to pay this much extra this month, this much, and it's going to show you how much faster you'll pay it off, how much you'll pay in interest, all that great stuff. So it's a very cool little handy tool you can just have on your phone. This one is called the Compound Interest Calculator. I remember it, even though it just looks like this. So it's just the Compound Interest Calculator, and I use this for investing calculators. So if you're going, okay, if I were to put $500 a month or $200 a month into my IRA, what would I have in 40 years? I play with this app all the time. I just think it's fun. So this is a great one just to mess around and see what those numbers look like. Well, what if I put 250 in? And so play around and see what your nest egg could look like when you hit retirement. Overdrive, going back to those books, if you haven't heard of Overdrive, this one, if you have a public library near you, most likely they have Overdrive, which is an online library, right? So your public library purchases ebooks and audiobooks. They purchase maybe 3. So let's just say the Total Money Makeover, they buy 3 copies of ebooks. Then people who have library cards go on the app and they can check those books out. Just like you would the hard copy when you walk in, you can go on and you can check out ebooks and audiobooks. And it's all free with your library membership. If you're a teacher, odds are your schools or your district has this. Mine did, but our public library has it. So just call your public library, ask them. You can check out books without ever having to drive there or worry about that stuff. And the selection might not be as big as your actual library itself, but really cool and free. Can't beat free. Playster is similar to Audible. It is cheaper. It's kind of like the hybrid between Overdrive and Audible. What Playster is you can get ebooks and you can get audiobooks. It's $10 a month, I believe. But you have unlimited, so you can read as many as you want. You can listen to as many books as you want. Whereas Audible and audiobooks.com, you only get one book a month. If you want more than that, you have to purchase more books. Playster, you get unlimited. The downside of Playster is the selection's not as good, so they don't have all the books. So you can hop on and browse their library before you sign up, but it's a good alternative to Audible. I had it for a few months until I read and listened to all the books that they had that I was interested in, and then I canceled it. But it was good for those few months. I was able to read a lot of books that would have cost me a lot of money, and I only spent $10 a month on it. So it's great. This is called Easy Calculator. More calculators, but you can calculate your mortgage payoff, your credit card payoff. There's a bunch of, you just download this one app and it has like 20 different calculators in there. So if you're all about punching numbers, for my nerds out there, check it out. If this stuff overwhelms you, if the money stuff overwhelms you, you may want to just not get this one. It's just going to overwhelm you even more. But I know a lot of you guys love playing around with those numbers and stuff. So these will feed the nerd inside of you. Kindle, you know what Kindle is. The only reason I put this in here, because I use it all the time, is a lot of people don't know you can download the app on your phone or your iPad, or your computer. And so you can access your Kindle books from any device, really. And so I have this app everywhere. And so if I'm reading a Kindle book and I'm out and about and all I have is my phone, I can pull it open and pick up reading where I left off. So big one to add to your list if you don't have it already. And then finally, of course, I'm going to say EveryDollar. This is just whatever you're using to budget, have that app with you. You know I'm a huge fan of EveryDollar, so I have this and I use it all the time. It's incredibly important to access regularly. All right, favorite YouTube channels, moving on, and we're almost done here, so don't worry. Favorite YouTube channels, again, free resources. True Financials is great. It's a guy named Dennis. He posts twice a week, and he's all about money, wealth, retirement, personal finances. He's just got lots of great insights. He shares his personal life journey. I highly recommend it. Tom and Ariana Lifestyle Builders, they're family entrepreneurs, and they just speak to not only business and growing businesses, but balancing that work, finding that work-life balance. So reaching your work goals, your career goals, while still meeting the needs of your family. And so really neat people. They also have a free Facebook group out there. Maybe I should have added my favorite Facebook groups on here too. There's a lot of great Facebook groups out there that you can join up on, but they're really cool and great people. Dollar Dude, similar to True Financials, Wendy Valencia and Budget Girl are all very similar to True Financials. It's just different personalities, but they have advice and insights on personal finance. And I mean, of course, you can always go watch mine, but I can't call my own favorite YouTube channel. But I have a YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed yet either, and it's going to have similar stuff to what everyone else is doing. And then I had to put my bass lessons one because that's one of my favorite ones. It probably doesn't pertain to any of you unless you want to learn how to play bass, but I watch this all the time, and it's pretty cool. So last one is my favorite online resources. So Funding Freedom U, right? It's a very good resource, I like to think. Everydollar.com, we already talked about that for your budget if you don't have one yet. Undebt It is a cool resource. If you haven't explored Undebt It, it's a online debt snowball, basically. So if you like the technology side of things, you can upload your debts and you can just watch those things shrink. It's similar to that debt-free app, but it's on it's a little bit more diverse and a little better, in my opinion. I have a full training on it in the course library, so if you check it out and like it, it's free. Go watch the training course to help you get set up and find out where everything is inside of the platform. Canva, I use this to make graphics. This whole slideshow presentation was made in Canva. This is a free resource, again, if you ever need to make birthday invitations or whatever you want, slideshows. I use it for ads, and for my band, I use it for different logos and graphics. So I use it for everything. I love Canva, but it's a cool free graphic design thing that's very easy to use. It's drag and drop. Highly recommend it. Highly, highly. Zoom, that's what we're using right now. So for good for calls. It's free as well for up to 40-minute phone calls, I think, at a time. So you can use Zoom if you want to call somebody on a private video like this where you can share your screen with them. Google Drive, I'm sure you've heard of Google Drive. You can upload your Word documents, your slideshows, and share them with somebody. I use that a lot as well. And then finally, Dropbox, my other favorite resource. This is where I can, if I wanted to send you a file, I could just drop it on Dropbox and you could pick it up there, and it's free as well. So again, free resources. A lot of these don't really have, some of these are just kind of, I list what's my favorite. Just like the base lessons video. These are Craig's favorite things. And so hopefully some of these will pertain to you and you'll find some value out of some of these.